In this video, we're going to walk through Handout 8-3. We're going to estimate and record uncollectible accounts using the percentage of accounts receivable method. We're told that in 2020, Vandelay reported $500,000 in sales and a $60,000 year-end accounts receivable balance. The company's allowance for doubtful accounts has an unadjusted credit balance of $1,000. So we're told that we've got $60,000 in accounts receivable and a credit balance of $1,000 in our allowance for doubtful accounts. We don't care about the level of sales in our percentage of receivable methods. We simply focus on our allowance and our accounts receivable. We're told that based on prior experience, management estimates that 15% of outstanding accounts receivable will result in bad debts, and we need to prepare the required adjusting journal entry. So we take our ending accounts receivable balance of $60,000 and multiply it by our 15%. That gives us an estimated allowance we expect to need of $9,000. So we want our ending balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts to be $9,000. The current balance is $1,000. So we need an adjusting entry of $8,000. So we will credit bad debt expense for $8,000. Rather, debit bad debt expense for $8,000, and we will credit the allowance for doubtful accounts by $8,000. In scenario B, we're told that, again, Vandelay has $5,000 in reported sales and $60,000 in accounts receivable, but that our year-end balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts has a debit balance of $800. Typically, a debit balance means we have not set aside enough during the current period. So we've got the $60,000 in accounts receivable, an $800 debit balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts. We estimate that 15% of our receivables will go uncollected, so we need an ending balance in our allowance for doubtful accounts of $9,000. To get that balance, we're going to need an adjusting entry of $9,800. So we will debit bad debt expense for $9,800, and we will credit the allowance for doubtful accounts for $9,800. Again, a debit balance in the allowance for doubtful accounts at the end of the period before we make any adjustment generally means we didn't set aside enough in prior periods, and this year we're going to have to set aside a little bit more. On the other hand, if we have a credit balance left over in the allowance for doubtful accounts from the prior period, that means in the prior period we set aside a bit too much. So the current period expense will be somewhat lower. Again, we're just making estimates. Sometimes they're going to be a bit high and sometimes they will be a bit low. We would really never expect the ending balance in our allowance for doubtful accounts to be zero.